This is the Stockwell Roche Show, giving you real-time information you need to make educated decisions about buying and selling in the world-renowned Twin Cities. Now your hosts and real estate experts, Jason Stockwell and Josh Roche.
Exiting gracefully. Exiting gracefully. What does that mean? We will share with you today what it means to be exiting gracefully. Welcome to the Stockwell Roche Show. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
I'm John Van Hall with the Minnesota Dream Finders team and RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
We have a great show for you today, folks. Very educational, a lot of information. We have Eric Swift with Country Financial here today, joining us. Hello, Eric.
Hello.
We have Stephanie Havel with Wells Fargo here today. How you doing, Stephanie?
Great. Good morning.
And we have Bradley Kirscher with Kirscher
Law Firm.
Kirscher Law Firm. I knew it. I didn't know exactly. Sorry, Brad, about that. I know Brad really well, so we might get into some stories about how Brad and I know each other later on the show if we have time. But we're going to be talking about exiting gracefully. We're also going to be talking about some things to do to save money, which everybody loves. And we're going to be talking about how to get a mortgage if you are what we call a comeback buyer. And that's someone who went through the downturn, had some hiccups, maybe had a short sale, maybe had a foreclosure, maybe had a bankruptcy, maybe you did all of them. But good news is there's always room for recovery, and recovery happens with time. So if you're back on your feet and things are going great again, and you have work is going good, and you have money saved up, and you're ready to get back into the market, we've seen thousands of people already do it, and thousands more will still yet to do that. So we'll talk about how to do that, and Stephanie will have some great tips for you on how to do that to get back into the marketplace. So. Speaking of market, what's going on, John? What's happening in the market?
I think we're going to have a special Thanksgiving talk here. And going into that, we're going to go for the month of October. And the median sales price increased 4.4% to $217,000. The days on the market decreased 2.8% to 70. The percent of original list price received increased 1.1% to 96.2%. And the month supply of inventory decreased 25.6% to 3.2.
Okay, wow. So October was a stellar month is what that tells me. That means there's 3.2 months of supply and inventory. 6 months is considered a normal or healthy market. So there's not enough homes in the market. So again, always feel free to call us or reach out to us or go to our website, tcrealestatehour.com, if you're looking to get an evaluation or contact us. It also tells us that home prices are going up, which is great news. You're getting 96% of your list price, folks, out there. There's those of you that are selling and have your house in the market. That is the average, which is really good compared to when we were in the really bad times. It was under 90 at some points for sale price to list price. So overall, good for sellers out there. We need more of you, and definitely reach out. And if your home isn't selling, a tip, if your home isn't selling with all this great statistics and all this great data and everything is the best it's been since pre-recession, it's the best it's been in real estate in the Twin Cities. If your home isn't selling, there's a reason. And there could be 3 reasons: price, presentation, and persistence by your agent. So those are 3 things you should definitely evaluate when you're interviewing agents, and also if you're currently on the market and not selling, reach out to your agent and say, hey, can we work on one of these or all of these things? Price, presentation of your home, and then persistence and follow-up on from your agent. So call us anytime. If questions about that, 651-400-0773. So glad, honored, grateful to have 3 great professionals here, Stephanie, Eric, and Brad. Just want to welcome everybody and also get a little background on yourselves, what you do, and what got you into what you do. So we'll start with you, Brad. I've known Brad for a while. We went to college together, and we've got some great stories that probably won't air on the radio, but let's start with Brad.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me. I'm an attorney. I have been for over 15 years now. And what I really like to do, the part of the job that I like most, is helping people through financial crisis. For about the past 6 years or so, financial crisis really has focused around mortgages. Yep. Right? I mean, the real estate market crashed. People were underwater. They owed significantly more money than what their house was worth. and they didn't know what to do. In the meantime, arms adjusted, payments went up, people found themselves unable to stay in their house. And so, again, for about the past 6 years or so, a lot of the bankruptcy work that I did focused on mortgages. I also got into mortgage workout work, negotiating short sales or negotiating mortgage modifications. And, it's really the most important asset that most people have is their home. It's the biggest purchase that most people ever make in their lifetime is their home. And it's very stressful to people. So what I found was that there were really two routes, and it depended on each individual's situation. It's either try to save the house, if that's feasible, because a lot of people are emotionally attached to their homes, or helping them to exit gracefully.
Yep.
Exiting gracefully, what does it mean? Well, it means trying to mitigate the damage of what happens when you default on your mortgage loan. How do you get out from under this house and this debt that's associated with it that's worth more, that's more than what the house is worth? Short sales for a very long time was the way to do it. And a short sale, of course, is if you sell the home for what the market will bear, and it's not enough to pay off your mortgage or mortgages against the house. Because you're not paying the mortgage holders in full, you have to get their permission. And some of the things that we'd see with homes, there's a number of moving parts with a short sale. One is just getting the permission to do so. The second part is getting the settlement of the debt that goes along with it. It doesn't do any good to sell your home, get out from under the mortgage, but still owe the underlying debt on the promissory note that you signed saying you'd repay a certain sum of money. Another issue that came up is the tax implications of getting out from under your mortgage. And for a while, there was a federal law called the Mortgage Forgiveness Debt Relief Act, which eventually expired. And then just last year was retroactively extended through 2014 on about the very last possible day that Congress could have done it in December of 2014. They retroactively extended it through the end of the year, which was probably about 10 to 15 days after they made that decision.
So what that means, just real quick, is that if you had a short sale through 2014, if you were someone who was selling your house, couldn't sell it for what the bank was owed, you shorted the bank, and then that remaining amount is forgiven through the debt relief or was it called the Debt Relief or Forgiveness Act, right?
Well, the debt would have been forgiven through my wonderful negotiation with the lender.
Oh, yes, before that even applied, right?
The federal law deals specifically with the tax implication of the forgiveness.
Yes, there you go.
And so there's never been a law that said that if you do a short sale, the lender has to forgive the debt. Short sales are voluntary on the part of the lender. They make a business decision, financial decision of what's better for them, the lender. And a lot of times it is giving permission for a short sale if the numbers work out. With the short sale, what my goal always was is to make sure that my client doesn't have any residual liability, doesn't owe anything on those mortgage debts after the short sale is done. And so what happens is there's a legal settlement agreement that says that X number of dollars has been forgiven. In many cases, you're talking about $100,000 or more.
Yep.
And under the Internal Revenue Code, generally, canceled debt or forgiven debt is considered income.
Income, that's what it was. Yep, there you go.
And so if I negotiate a settlement where $100,000 of mortgage debt is eliminated, I potentially have a client who's looking at $35,000 in extra income tax that year. And so what this federal law said was, well, if it was your primary residence and you meet a number of factors, that is not considered income, that canceled debt, which was very important for a lot of people in financial trouble. And like all laws do, it expires unless it's extended. And so there were a lot of very nervous people in 2014 who were potentially looking down the barrel of a huge tax debt. And fortunately for everyone involved, Congress finally did, at the very end of last year, extend it through last year. Well, now in 2015.
We're in 2015. What's going on now?
They're playing the same games.
Are they?
The last activity on either of the bills that were introduced in the Senate or the House, I believe, was back in April. And then everything got set on the back burner, and eventually, hopefully, it'll be brought up again. The experts out there say that there's bipartisan support and that there's no reason why it should not be passed, the extension. But until it's actually done, you can't really rely on Congress to do it.
Typical. The government leaves us flailing in the wind, not knowing what to do or what's going to be done, so that we don't know if it's a right decision or a correct decision financially to do a short sale, because if this doesn't go through, thousands and thousands of people across the United States will have a tax burden that they will say, oh, you gave up $100,000 in your short sale on that. Now we're going to count it as income, so now you pay taxes on that. And that will devastate many people. So again, that's something that I'm learning right now too on this. This is great information, because if you're out there and someone you know, you yourself, let's say things are going great, but sometimes it isn't for certain people. There's divorce, there's death, there's illness, there's job loss. If any of these things happen to you and your house is in play, meaning you're not able to maybe make a payment on your house, or you're worried about in 4 months, you see it coming, that things that go as they are, you're not going to be able to make a payment, then you need to do what's a graceful exit, or better yet, call ahead of time. Have a strategy. Talk with us so that we can actually come up with a plan to tell you whether it's better to do a short sale, or if this law doesn't go through and it doesn't get extended with the Debt Relief Act, then you may not be better to do a short sale. Is that right, Brad?
Well, I do want to clarify, because in the industry, at least in the real estate industry, the reason why real estate professionals ever have any contact with the Mortgage Forgiveness Debt Relief Act is really in the situation of a short sale. But it's important for people who have been foreclosed as well. I mean, obviously, if someone just
it could happen on
away,
a foreclosure, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So under Minnesota law, the way that most residential mortgages are foreclosed, there results in canceled debt. Because most lenders will foreclose by advertisement. The law says that whatever they get from the foreclosure is satisfaction in full of the mortgage debt, regardless of how much the mortgage debt is. The end result is there's going to be forgiven debt, and so that may raise the same taxability issues.
So, a lot more to talk about with that. We'll be back talking more with Brad Kirscher, with Eric Swift, Stephanie Havel. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
I'm John Van Hall with the Minnesota Dream Finders team and RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
Stay tuned, folks.
I'm not who I